Hello again, everyone, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Overcoming Addiction. And in these episodes, lately I have been talking about the effects demons have on the addiction. So I'm going to talk today about how we protect ourselves against demons. And this is not just for those struggling with substance abuse, this is for people in general because demons are real. I know a lot of people don't believe in them, but you are always welcome to share your comments and what you think about these topics that I share here. This is from an up and coming book that I am writing, and is a few pages from a chapter. And this one is called, as I said, How Do We Protect Against Demons? And I'm going to read this. Demonic possessions can affect every aspect of life. Demons affect our minds through their influences. Our minds are where we first encounter demonic disruptions in our emotions, thoughts, and actions. Acts of violence, lust, and dishonesty are evidence of demonic possessions. These acts originate as a thought that infiltrate our minds. Demonic thoughts access our minds through our hearing and or sight. This also gives them access to our spirit. It is through these senses that demons will look for a weakness to exploit. Once they find a weak area, they will use it to gain access and disrupt other areas of our lives. For example, if someone has a weakness for alcohol or a weakness of any kind, that weakness will be utilized as a portal for a demon to enter and disrupt your overall life and including your resistance to them. And we're going to talk a little bit about more about portals a little later. This will allow entry. This weakness that I talked about will allow entry for things like violence and lust, which are actions that the demon will cause us to react to. Now, just because a demon influences one area of life doesn't mean it will stop there. Their desire is to be completely satisfied, which can only be achieved through the use of our minds and bodies. When a demon is allowed to influence a person, it invites other demons to join in. So think of it as a meeting place for demons as they figure out what part of your body and mind that they are going to take over for their pleasure. So what do you think should be done to kind of protect ourselves against the demons influencing our minds and bodies? Well, in my experiments, I was able to construct barriers. So, what goes into constructing barriers? There is no one way to protect against demonic possessions. It takes layers of protection. In my experience as a former substance abuser, I found that a barrier has to be built to keep demons from taking possession of our lives. Anyone who is already under one's influence must first seek to repel it. You have to remove the demon from your life or push it out of your life, the influences it has on your life before you can start building barriers to protect you from influencing you further. And you have to do this because once a demon has taken possession, it's hard to dispose of. The longer one is kept around, the harder it will be to get rid of, like an addiction. Now, because demons are spiritual in nature, repelling and resisting them will require help that is spiritual in nature. To repel a demon will require two elements. Remember, I said two elements. The first is the initiation of prayer. And prayer is really the foundation on which you will build your barrier on. The construction of anything begins with a foundation. And the stronger the foundation, the stronger the construction. Prayer petitions our Creator to act in our favor in any and all situations. It should always be the first act. So it should always be the foundation. The second element, we as humans, we as human beings, forgive me, have to recognize who we are and the authority we have over demons. So that's the second element, recognizing our authority so we can use it. The only way outside influences can affect us if we allow them to. Every Christian knows that mankind was given dominion over this planet and its products. It was given to us because the creatures who came before mankind abused their authority. And now these creatures only exist in the spiritual world without the means to enjoy the pleasures we now have access to in the natural world. Yeah, I guess they probably be a little bit pissed off about that. But hey, they bought it on themselves. Demons want to take pleasure in this world, which is why they need our mind and body. They will destroy or cause the destruction of this planet and its inhabitants just for their pleasure. Greed, obsession, and abuse of power are other demonic possessions. Now, the requirements needed for those who are possessed is to continuously practice prayer and that other element, exercising their authority, which is given to us by our Creator. Only then can the process of building a barrier begin for them. So, like I said, if you're already battling demons and you are aware of this, you have to repel them first and then build your barrier to protect you further. So, how can you build a barrier, or are there anything to build a barrier with? Well, there are what I call tools of construction. And these actually are spiritual tools, which I talk about in my last book, The Effective Use of Spiritual Tools. I'm going to give more information about that at the end of this video. We can find tools for building a barrier against demons in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, starting at verse 10. And this is from NIV, and I'm going to read it. It reads, "Finally, be strong in the Lord and his mighty power." Verse 11, "Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes." Verse 12, "Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." Also, in this chapter in Ephesians. It talks about the belt of truth buckled around your waist. It also talks about the breastplate of righteousness in place, having that breastplate in place. It also talks about your feet fitted with readiness that comes from the gospel of peace, meaning you're ready to move whenever you have to. And it also talks about the shield of faith, which can extinguish all flaming arrows of the evil one. And the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Now, all of these armaments should be used to protect against demons, but the shield of faith is the one I use to form a barrier against my demons. Again, the foundation should always be prayer because prayer gives us the wisdom and knowledge we need to properly use these and other powerful tools against demons. Donning the breastplate of righteousness indicates to God that our prayers are from the heart. You know, from this chapter in the book of Ephesians alone, we are given the tools to build barriers and the instructions on how we should use them against demonic possessions. So, to end this episode, we're going to talk about guarding our gateway. Now, you have your barrier up, and even though there you have a barrier built, Satan is still out there looking for a way in. And we as humans, if we interact with this natural world, there are gateways, and you have to guard your gateway, your door, your entrance port, your portal. Our brains are biologically engineered to be a gateway. Information, thoughts, and ideas use this gateway. Demons also seek to disguise themselves in these areas to gain access. The helmet of salvation is designed to be used as a barrier to prevent their access. The full armor of God, those armaments that are talked about in Ephesians, are primary layers of protection used to construct barriers against demons. And this last paragraph, I really, really hope that any adult that is watching this that have children will stress this to their children. Social and mainstream media are gold mines for demons. Through these mediums, demons can use both ports of entry to our minds in their relentless efforts to influence us. Our eyes and ears are primary ports of entry that they can use to influence our thoughts. For this reason, we need the protection of a barrier. It's unfortunate that we live in a world now where every aspect of our lives is influenced or can be influenced by evil spirits. Our government can be affected, and that affects everyday people. So, what I would like for everyone to do is recognize the fact that there are demons and look for ways to build a barrier to protect yourself against these evil spirits. I found it in the book of Ephesians, but I hope anyone watching can find and build their own barrier. I would also like to ask those that are watching to go out and purchase the book, The Effective Use of Spiritual Tools. It describes some of the tools that I use to overcome my spiritual battle with substance abuse. Um, I'm going to put up my email address here where I can be reached for purchasing information on the book or where I can be reached for comments on these videos. You can also, if you like to, purchase the book on Amazon's website, the Barnes and Noble's website, at Walmart online, and here at shepublishingllc.org. Thank you all for watching. And as I said, if you have any comments, please feel free to place them in the section under this video. And be on the lookout for the next one of Overcoming Addiction.